All right, a couple minutes on USAA Mortgage. It seems as though every video and every communication and everything has been an apology from me and a plead with you to keep supporting and keep bearing through this. This video will be a plea from me to keep supporting and keep bearing through this. We are not there yet. And so I'm not going to tell you that everything's fixed and or everything's going to be fixed by the end of the month. I don't know when it's going to be fixed. I know that we need to be good partners. We need to shine. We need to help them in the way that we want them to help us and support us. And we need to lead by example. So I'm asking you to do that. But I'm offering some solutions, and I'm offering a light at the end of the tunnel. One of the things that we have been having a problem with is the last-second underwriting decisions and the apparent lack of communication between the processor and the underwriter, and you think, how could that be possible? Well, large corporations are very efficient, very process-minded, and occasionally they outthink themselves. They outthought themselves. Remember when I said that USAA was a mile long? Well, at mile 1 was sitting all the processors, and at mile 2 was sitting all of the underwriters. And that obviously creates a communication gap. I don't want to explain the whole mortgage process to you. I don't think you want to hear the entire mortgage process. But it would make sense that those two weren't communicating very well if they were sitting a mile apart. USAA recognized it. They are in the process of moving all those people back into the same room and creating something called a pod. And the pod, for all intents and purposes, will have all the people that are involved in a loan all sitting in the same team. And those people that do purchase will do only purchase. And so that will keep the refinance thing that's been hurting us away from what we're doing. That's number one. Number two, if a processor works with the same underwriter every time, they know what that underwriter looks for. And so they will try to collect those things up front, and they're getting trained by that underwriter. So that's going to greatly improve some of the last-second things that they ask for from us, and we go, how could they not have known this? Well, they were too far apart. Now they're back together again, and that should improve. Finally, if you just think about it, if they come in the morning and they have a team meeting in the morning and they have a team meeting at the end of the day, they ought to know a little bit more about each other and what they're working on. And they also now have the ability to not try to send an email, not pick up the phone, not walk a mile, but stand up and look across the desk at the person who is the underwriter or the person who is the processor and ask a question. So, I believe it's going to work. That's going to take time for them to implement. The thing that's, it's not going to be, we're not going to be on smooth sailing until they right-size their pipeline. And with all that business that we talked about that they're growing, then, we have to expect it's going to take them a couple months to get there. But they've identified a process, they're changing it, and the fix to me makes perfect sense. In the meantime, like I said, another plea, you got to hang in there with them. But one more solution that will help you hang in there. And I want to introduce to you right now John Carney. John Carney is a local, lives in Reston, Virginia, came from Reston, Virginia, and he is a local representative for USAA who's primarily responsible for growing their mortgage business and making sure that their members who are using the mortgage business are happier with the process. So John's going to introduce himself, and then I'm going to jump back on with you and talk about how are we going to use this resource the right way so that we get the most out of it.
As you said, my name is John Carney. I've been hired recently by USAA. Spent about 6 weeks down in San Antonio learning USA's business and also really looking at the numbers and how things are working. As Scott mentioned, I am new to USAA, but I'm local. I'm not new to this area. I have lived in Virginia and the Maryland area for a little over 20 years now, about 22 or 23 years. I've actually spent the last 7 years in the mortgage market, the mortgage business here, so I understand this market pretty well. But I am the first local presence of USAA in this area. Matter of fact, your Century 21 is so important to us that I'm the first person outside of San Antonio to have anything to do with the real estate business. We're here to grow this, to work with you. To do that, I've met a bunch of you so far. I've already been in 3 or 4 of your offices. Within the next 3 weeks, I will have been in all of your offices, and I look forward to meeting each and every. I'm excited to meet the rest of you. Working together, we will make this stronger, and we will make it more profitable for all of us. Thank you.
First of all, for those of you that have not been in front of a video camera before, all you need to do is think about my first video. You probably still think my videos stink, but I think they're getting better. It's tough, so I really commend John that he was willing to do it, and you know, just jumped right in there and did this. John's coming around to all the offices, like he said. The way he wants to build this is build a personal relationship with you. He wants to understand not only what your problems are in the mortgage world, but just your USAA business in general. And he's here to help, and he's going to do a great job for us. Here's how I want to use that resource, and this is really, really important. This is the training piece. We can't send John everything, and we can't expect John to do our job for us. There's no way he can do it. You know the kind of transactions that we do. He'll never survive if we send him every little thing. So what I need to do is keep the process the same way that it is right now. When you have an issue, you first start with sending something to Relo at early on in the process if you know about it. If you feel like it needs to be escalated, you send an email, usually to me. I want you to send it to Relo at, and here's what I want you to put into that. The same things that we've been asking for. I want you to put the name and the file number in the heading, and I want you to include the loan number if you have it, and I want to make sure always, 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 always that you have called the help desk before you escalate it. We can't help you unless you do that, and sometimes, and I know that people have had the experience, the help desk actually helps you. So I want to make sure that we're doing that. Here's what I want you to do differently. When you send that email and escalate, copy John. I don't care if it's 20 days from now that the closing is or 1 hour from now. Copy John. John will judge appropriately whether or not he needs to jump on that this second, or whether or not he needs to notify USAA and make sure that the processes down there pick back up and work. So always I want to do this through email. That will keep all of us in a loop so we all know what's going on, can pick up for each other. If John's busy, I have other avenues that I can go. I don't want to put this all on John. Now when John comes around to the offices, he's going to hand you a business card, and on that business card is going to be his cell phone number. And you need to put that cell phone number in your contacts. And we're going to give it to you right now. We've got a handout for you. But here's what's different. I want you to think about it. I want you to realize that that cell phone number is really when you are in an absolute pinch. That cell phone number is when you're sitting at the closing table and you don't have what you have, or you're 3 hours before the closing and a significant problem arises and you need John's help. Otherwise, everything else flows through us. I think we've been pretty responsive to you about trying to escalate and get things done. We're going to call John. We're going to filter it to him. I just need us to be a filtering mechanism so John can do the things that he was hired to do. And one of the things is to help us with our problem. But another bigger issue is he's here to grow his business. And we're only going to have John if he accomplishes what he needs to do. And I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. One of the things that John's going to do is he's going to copy a program that I believe Coldwell Banker United down in the Gulf Coast has done this. They used a USAA representative to go around to some of their builders that was locking the USA mortgage product out. So a lot of times the builder is offering just the incentive only if they use the builder's mortgage company. Well, USAA, because of the volume of the business they have, the size that they are, has had success going around to different builders and making a presentation to them to say, look, we need to work out some kind of a joint venture where that incentive is available if they use USAA Mortgage. Let John figure out how to do that. That's not for us to know, but that's what John's here to do, and that should be really helpful. What I found out is there's a couple of agents that are down in that area who then call their member up and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to take you over to the new construction. I made an appointment for you tomorrow, and not only that, I've already called ahead, and I've cleared the way for you to stay in the mortgage product. That's a special exception for you because you're a USAA member. Just makes you look good, makes USAA look. look good, and it's something that John can do for us, and he's going to be working on. So, as you know, big builders, key contacts in those areas, John's going to be looking for those people to get in touch with and ways to help us. Hope that's helpful information about the mortgage side. You know, stay strong. You know, hang through the bumps and bruises. I know they're still out there. I'm dealing with one today, so I know that we're not out of the woods, and but we're going to be. And keep your eye on that big prize. You know, doubling the USAA business. Let's be the one that they send double the business to.